Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining Painting with Picasso's Grapevine. My name is Leanna Hahn, and I will be your host and your teacher for today. Today we're going to take a look at this really fun, very easy, very loose kind of painting. It's called Make-A-Wish. So I think a lot of us recognize this. We have a lot of these out in our lawn, probably about right now, kind of getting into the beginning of spring. You'll see these popping up. But we're going to memorialize them in a painting, so when they get down in your yard, you can still have it on your wall. We're going to start out with a little bit of an inventory and make sure you have everything prepared for today's painting. We're going to be using 3 colors. We have white, we have black, and we have phthalo blue. As always, we have our cup of water for rinsing off and our dab rag. Now, I went ahead and I prepared the canvas and went ahead and did our phthalo blue. So just a very easy, just big broad strokes on the back. So on my palette today, I only have black and white. So we're going to continue from our prepared canvas today. For our brushes, we're going to be working with 2 brushes. I have a number 1 round and I have a number 2 chisel. So as always, we kind of take a look at our painting and decide what we're going to do first. So what's the foreground, what's the background, what will we attempt? For this painting, again, the background's pretty simple. We're just going over with a nice big brush, swishes on there, just getting that layer on, let it dry. Again, we're working with acrylic paint, so 7-10 minutes is about all you need, and then you're ready for your next layer. So for us, we're going to begin working on our nice little flower here. So to kick that off, let's go ahead and remove our flower, and we'll kind of get going. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start off with that chisel brush, kind of wake it up, put it in our water, dab it off, and I'm going to start with a little bit of white and a little bit of black. So we're just going to create just a really light gray. What I want to do is I want to create that center of the flower. So kind of deciding where that flower is going to go. So if you kind of look at our original here, it's roughly kind of about here-ish. Again, you can't really get this wrong. This is truly where you feel comfortable and you want this to be. So let's go ahead and just get a nice little gray center. And just kind of swirl it around and get that basis right on the canvas, kind of our starting point. And everything else will kind of build from there. Go ahead and wash that off. Then what we're going to do is we're going to work with our little brush. So go ahead, dip that in the water and dab that off. And we're going to grab our white paint. Now, these little brushes are very deceiving. So if you look at them, you expect tiny little lines. But remember, if you push on them hard, you're going to get a fat line. So practice with your pressure. Go ahead, put your paint and your paintbrush in your paint, swirl it out. That will help you get the finest line. Practice with your pressure right on your paper here, and that'll help you kind of get an idea of how hard you have to go. So if we look at our original, we're kind of just building some patterns. So we're going to be working with our first layer behind. So we're going to kind of start around and lay out kind of a first layer. If you recall, these are basically the little seed pods. And it's a very light wisp. So we're just kind of getting that first layer of light wisp. Now to get a nice light touch, I'm using the side of my brush. I'm not pushing down with the top of my brush. So I go back to my paper plate, I get some more, and then I'm going to go ahead and start adding in those little edges of the seed pod. Again, keeping them very light and wispy. This painting overall is going to be a really good practice for just playing with the pressure on the brush, learning how to get a very light feel, because you're going to do this stroke over and over and over again. This is a good pattern type of painting. Now, people in general, humans in general, like to do patterns. This is kind of a challenge when we do a lot of nature painting. So if we're doing landscapes, things of that nature, folks like to do patterns. It's actually kind of a challenge to force yourself not to create a pattern. Where this one is kind of a nice pattern-driven painting. We're doing the same strokes around each one of these little seeds. And some of the backgrounds, what I'll do is I'll typically have people move your canvases and flip them, maybe flip them to the side, flip them upside down, constantly change them, because that will help you if you're doing backgrounds and you're doing kind of a, just kind of a broad, general, kind of smooshy wooshy, you know, just kind of get some craziness going on. It helps you kind of hit the canvas in a different stroke each time, and that'll kind of erase any potential patterns that you're creating. So kind of a little tip. All right, so I've got my first layer going around there. So let's kind of pull back our original and take another look. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come back and put in another layer. So we're just bringing up another layer of seed pods. So we're going to come in on top here, and we're going to make this seed pod just a little bit longer. And we're going to bring these seed pods in a little closer to your center. Now this particular painting, we're doing this in just a blue and white. Obviously this is not true to form. The white is, as far as this part, but it's not true to form to the original, what this flower actually is. And we do this because people love blues. Blues for whatever, and phthalo blue in particular is very appealing. People like the way it looks, especially the blue and whites together. It's very calming. So you'll see a lot of paintings, you'll see a lot of decor, you'll see a lot of clothing. Everything is in blues and whites. People are very comfortable. It's very calming and appealing to the eye. Now you'll notice on my second layer, as I'm coming up, I'm getting a little messier. I'm not really too concerned with keeping it just around the edge. I'm just getting a little bit more messier with the edges of my seed pods. Because at the end of the day, this is a round sphere that you're actually trying to mimic. So we're trying to create some activity and some movement that kind of gives the image of it's a round sphere without making this too complex of a painting. So we're just going to finish this all the way around. I'm kind of bringing some of those strokes in closer back to the base. Now, once I get this all the way around, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to start adding a few strokes that are a little bit more pronounced, just again to create some dimension. So we've kind of got this all the way around. So I'm going to come in and just kind of create just a few strokes here and there. They're a little bit more solid, a little bit more pronounced for the whites. I don't want them all to be consistent because I want it to look like there are some that are far away and some that are closer. And as well, I'm kind of doing a wispy outline of the center of the bulb. And again, just giving it kind of a few extra strokes, give it some emphasis. So not too bad. Now we don't have this on the original, but if you like to get a little fancy here, we can even add a few that are kind of falling off into the distance here. Because you know how that happens when the wind hits it. And now I'm coming in here and just adding a little bit of filler. Not too concerned with exactly matching up to a stem of any sort, just kind of creating a little bit of filler just to make it a little bit more solid. Now you'll see that there's an underlying pattern, but with a lot of these last strokes I've just kind of made it a little bit more messier, kind of messed up some of those patterns so it's not too pronounced. So we've kind of got our bulb here set and ready. At this point, we're going to move back over into our chisel brush, so make sure we go ahead and wash that off. And let's grab some white. And what we're going to do is we're going to work on our stem. So we're going to come into our stem using the side of the brush. Again, we're going to use it kind of like a pencil and draw that down very light. Just kind of wispy lines. And then we'll make kind of a nice dash off the side here. That's a nice placement for a leaf. And as well, we'll kind of throw one up here. Make sure you make your leaves kind of wispy and bent. And then last but not least, we're going to follow the line here and use the side of our brush kind of create a little bit of a shadow. I've got to bring that all the way down. Very nice. All right, so you've kind of got a nice loose interpretation of our seed pods of a dandelion. Play with your pressure on your brush, have fun with this, make it bigger, make it smaller. You could even perhaps decide to leave a piece of it that's already blown off. So make it your own and really enjoy it. If you have any questions on this and would like to learn more about painting this type of painting, send us an email to info@picassosgrapevine.com. Thank you for joining us.